Welcome to our new episode of the STELAR Data Stories podcast 360. My name is Tatjana Knezevic. I'm head of exploitation at Foodscale Hub, which is one of the partner organizations in STELAR project, and I will be your host for today's episode. Today, our guest is Tomaz Bokan, a senior project manager at Innovation Technology Cluster Murska, Sobota, and coordinator of the Digital Innovation Hub Agrifood from Slovenia. It is my great pleasure to talk to you today, Tomaz. Thank you for your time.
Welcome.
Okay. Let's start with the first question. So you have a rich background in broadcasting industry, digital TV, and interactive technologies. So can you share a bit about your career journey and how you transitioned into digital agriculture?
Yes, actually, my background is primarily technical, but and this focus and passion was always somehow directed to the technology and usability of the technology and so on. So after my studies, I ended up in a company building broadcasting and television equipment, which was operating in an international market, and actually that was very, very rich experience. And over time, I somehow ended up also in the privately owned company where I was a co-owner, and I was working a lot abroad and on different projects in broadcasting sector, meaning digital television and so on. But since somehow after 15 years working more or less from home, away from home, basically, all over the world, and also the changes with the markets and evolution of technology and so on, it was time to somehow change or to do something a little bit different. So somehow in 2017, I transitioned to work more on a technology-driven projects, which are co-financed by European Commission and other bodies, primarily on new technologies in robotics. But then quickly, in a few months, I actually started also to work in this agri-food sector. So this agri-food sector, actually, if I compare this with my previous work and experience, it's at least in the major parts, it's not so well developed. So there is a lot of potential, a lot of new stuff which can still happen, and we can develop also our environment. So that's very interesting from my perspective.
I agree. And you're working at the intersection of the technology, agriculture, and innovation. So what would you say, how do these roles align?
Yeah, actually, you mentioned already our digital innovation hub, Agrifood. So that's a non-formal collaborative framework somehow. It's not an organization as such. It involves different stakeholders and actors. So everybody can somehow find their puzzle in this story. And actually, together we are trying to develop then projects or actual actions on the field, which then support the building of this ecosystem, which support all the actors. Actually, it's not just farmers, it's also some industry players which would like to give some solution to the market, or some farming advisory service, universities which would like to develop something what is near to the real use cases and so on. So, and at ITC Murska Sobota, which is an organization, actually we are managing this digital innovation hub Agrifood, but we are just one of the organizations as mentioned. We are a private non-profit research organization. So in this organization, my work is mainly focused on the technology projects related to technological innovations, piloting in our environment, bringing together different actors, show them best practices, connect, and so on. So that's very good connection, or these roles align very well, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And your work involves precision farming, integrating IoT and Earth observation. And this is actually the topic of our pilots in STELAR as well. Now, can you share an example where these technologies have significantly improved agricultural decision making?
Yes, for sure there are multiple areas where these digital technologies and also other advancements are very much contributing. So, for example, if we say arable farming, which is it has own specifics, but for example, we can nowadays apply fertilizers and pesticides based on satellite images and with very precise machinery, so that we don't put the treating items somehow on the places where it's not needed, or we can adjust the quantity and do the spraying exactly where it's needed and so on. So this has very positive effects also on the environment, but also on the efficient use of resources, time, and so on. Then another example is, for example, pest and disease detection, where we can actually analyze what is happening on the fields, and the farmers can be actually warned that there is some area which they need to inspect, or they need to check that something is happening. All of this stuff which I was mentioning was not possible without technology or without these approaches. But then in other productions, maybe if I just mention vineyards, orchards, for example, there we have different decision support systems which use the data from, I don't know, local weather station, from IoT data, sensors in the ground measuring humidity, maybe pheromone traps which track the concentration of insects and so on, actually to provide advice when to irrigate, when to treat with maybe some pesticides. Also, frost protection is a big issue in our place. So actually now, in this time when the temperature is already, I don't know, 17, 18 degrees over the day, and then there is 2 days of frost that we have -3, -4, actually the whole production can be in danger. So we have some frost protection systems which then trigger with spraying water to plants actually to prevent this and so on. And then at the end, the consumers, they also have, of course, the benefit of all this technology, because we can have some traceability systems which show how the product was actually grown on some parcel, how it was delivered to the store, and so on. So there's a lot of things which we can have, and which we have based on these new technologies which are out there.
Yeah, there are indeed many possibilities. However, all of these advanced technologies, they integrate a lot of different data coming from different sources. So this is something that we recognize in STELAR as a big challenge. What do you think are some other big challenges that you see in implementing these technologies across different regions in Europe?
Actually, first we have to say that the sector is very different from country to country. So the structure of farms varies significantly across Europe. So, for example, large farm in Hungary or Romania is of different size as large farm in Slovenia, and so on. So that's the fact. But on the other hand, we have majority of European farms that are family run, with 2/3 somehow being smaller than 5 hectares. So we still have a lot of smaller farms with not so good organizations or not so well equipped as large farms, which are generally, they have maybe staff employed, which is agronomist, and they have modern machinery, and they follow all the achievements and use digital systems and so on, because they have to compete on the market. So I think that the challenge lies mainly with the smaller farms, where we encounter different obstacles like aging farming population, limited digital skills, connectivity, financial constraints, and so on and so on. So I think these are the biggest challenges, actually, how to build this or how to preserve this sector, because not everybody can be or would like to be a big farm, but still, if they produce something, they should do this in a effective way. They should be environmental friendly, I would say, not waste resources and so on. And this is actually what we are somehow working on the majority of our projects, to connect different stakeholders, farmers, also policymakers and so on, to demonstrate the showcases, benefits and so on, also to smaller farms, actually to see the benefit.
Yeah, when you mentioned the other EU funded projects, so you're involved in many projects, for example, GREEN.DAT.AI, Divine and Farmtopia. Now, could you highlight some of the key takeaways from these projects in terms of how AI and digitalization are shaping the future of farming?
Yes, as we all know, there are different goals or different initiatives which evolve over time. Since we are somehow always working on this agri-food sector, if I say a few words about this project, GREEN.AI, for example, where we are running a pilot in Slovenia on arable farming, but we are using digital twins technology to actually improve the decision making by the farmers. So, for example, we have AI models which are developed by University of Maribor based on previous fertilization maps and historical farm data, satellite images, weather condition, and so on, to actually create these maps for the future or for the actual running season based on this historical data, so that the farmer don't have to put so much effort to prepare this again from the scratch. And if he has a lot of parcels, this is also time consuming and resource intensive. So this is something what we are developing in this project. In addition, this digital twin model, it's also used to actually have a alert system so that it detects some zones on the parcel where maybe there is some deviation, and then the farmer can be alerted, okay, take a look, there is something happening because we see a deviation on the image. And at the end, also the final result of this is that we are preparing somehow scenarios for harvesting sequence, so that when this harvest sequence starts, it is important to actually start in the right order, to actually have the most mature fields on the beginning and not so mature ones later on. And this is also from a man's eye, I would say it's difficult to survey so much fields outside and to set some priorities and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Then for this Divine project, which you mentioned, it's targeting a bit different story, I would say. There we are dealing with farm production and economics of the data, mainly to support dairy production. So we have a data space-based platform, and farming advisors are working together with farmers to optimize their business plans for the future, or to identify areas where deviate from the average or from their surrounding farmers and so on. And then last, Farmtopia, which again is a bit different because it's more focused to small and medium farms, where we would like to digitalize the way the farmers are keeping books at their farm, how they use this data for the reporting to authorities or common agricultural policy measures and so on. So there we have this field book tool, which we are testing with the farmers. So this maybe as a 3 examples of a little bit different topics addressed, but everything is around the agri-food sector.
Yeah, and those are very important topics. Now, could you maybe make a link between these projects and their activities with STELAR objectives? So we are working on a knowledge lake management system in order to facilitate smart agriculture. Are there any links, and do you see any potential um, utilization of our knowledge lake management system platform in the future?
To be honest, I don't know enough about STELAR for sure to be able to answer this clearly. But what is for sure and what we all face somehow is that we need to have proper data. This data needs to be collected and interpreted in a correct way to be able to take some decisions in the future. So I think that that's the starting point. So actually, we already have farmers, governments, and so on collecting significant amount of data, maybe, but how they are structured, how they are described what this data is, and maybe also the quality of collecting this data, it's a bit questionable in some cases. So we need to work on the data, and that this data should be actually then used as also I understand is done by the STELAR project. So to turn somehow these data lakes, I would say, so huge amounts of data into some knowledge lakes to actually generate some knowledge out of that. And because only this knowledge can then support to have valuable insights, to to predict something, to do farm management, to have policy making measures, and so on. And to have this, we also need to work on the data exchange. And now this topic of European data spaces, which is very hot in this moment, I think it's also the right direction, because we need to have data ownership and control as somehow also described by these rules and guidelines, and that should be a basis for all later work on this data to use it in the AI interoperability and so on. So I think it's very well aligned with what we are doing in other projects, and there will be even more similar projects, I think, in the future, because it's not so easy to solve this challenge in just a short period by just some few projects, I think.
Yeah, and what is important to highlight from our side is that all of our tools and that are integrated into knowledge lake management system are provided on an open source basis, meaning that all researchers from around the world can use them, and they can even work on the improvement of the tools later on. So we really hope that researchers in the field will make use of our platform.
Yes,
Now,
and this I think, sorry, this I think also it's very important, because we need to, we should not see the projects like isolated somehow, that when they start and then they finish. I think this work which happens later on, and the connection with other projects and so on, that's actually the basis which adds the value to all this story.
Yeah, and actually that's one of our goals in the upcoming period, since we are coming in a couple of months to the end of the project. We will investigate how other projects can benefit and initiatives can benefit from our solutions. So I hope that we will keep in touch to discuss how you can maybe connect us with some innovative SMEs in this area, if they could benefit from our platform. Now, looking ahead, what do you think will be the next big breakthrough in AI and data-driven agriculture?
Yeah, a big breakthrough. Yeah, that's kind of a million-euro question, which I would be very happy if I could answer. But I think the pace of these technological changes makes it hard to predict what exactly will happen. But in any case, there will be some incremental advancements on several areas. I think that is more likely to happen as some major breakthrough on some area. But for sure the market will grow. So we have all the studies indicating this, and also we see that the more development is happening, the more the usability is there, and this means that it will be consumed more. On the other hand, it's even expected to use these technologies. Actually, by some studies also from European Union in their outlooks, they are actually saying that we need to compensate all the climate changes and all other stuff which is happening by using also this technology and new approaches, because otherwise we could face challenges in the food production systems in the future. So I would imagine that, for example, some AI advisory services which we have now could evolve to actually provide some guidance to farmers, maybe by some chatbots, camera-based systems, and so on, to bring this all this knowledge and this required skills closer to them to solve the problems on the spot, not to wait for some advisory service, what they should do on the field and so on. So this will be automated in a way. And also this decision support, because we have all the data, we have the satellite images, we have the weather trends, we have market conditions, we have some labor shortages, and so on and so on. So all this data is somehow very useful if you can work on it and use it to optimize maybe the production, to be able to predict the trends, what you should produce, what food is needed based on the climate, what is most suitable for this parcels which you have, and so on and so on. So I think this is somehow the areas which will be mainly affected by this AI and data-driven. Then, of course, at the end, as I already mentioned, robotics and automation, which is already happening, and due to labor shortages, that will be even more important. And all of these systems are also supported by data, also operating greenhouses when they should irrigate, when they should open, close the air, and so on. So all of this stuff will be very much affected, I think, by the technology.
Mm-hmm. And now, taking into account the challenges that you previously mentioned, how do you think can farmers and agribusinesses prepare for this shift towards more digital agriculture? Is there something that digital innovation hubs like your Agrifood in Digital Innovation Hub in Slovenia can do and make farmers easier to bridge this gap between traditional ways of doing agriculture and this digitalization that is, I think, needed and will be mandatory in order to stay at the forefront of the game of agriculture, right?
I think that we need to take this as, it will happen. So everything will go more towards digital, and we need to face this now, basically. So we need to understand how the technology can help us, what skills we need to be able to use the technology, and also that's maybe on the level of the farmers and producers. But on the other hand, we also need to have governments, regulators, and all these bodies to understand how the sector works, how the data, if it is collected, can be used for some bigger good, not just for reporting or for controlling something. So all of these actors need to be somehow skilled and should be presented with all of these advancements, like if we have this and this data, we can predict something, we can solve some problem, we can make some strategy, and so on. So, but the basis for this is to start collecting this data, I would say, or storing the data in a proper way, and that we have useful systems, you know, that we don't somehow have data collection just for some purpose, just because of bookkeeping or something else, that there are tools which can use this data in very efficient way, consider much more stuff than just one person can do, or just decide on that. And everybody in this chain, all these actors need to understand this, because they are all important. Everybody has to play their role in that. And I think this needs to happen very, very fast, or we need to start with that now, basically.
Yeah, well, I think that we are on the right way, on the right track with our activities within STELAR, but also your project, as you mentioned, Farmtopia, Divine, and others. I would like now to thank you very much for your time and today's discussion. I hope that our listeners will enjoy this podcast. And for those who would like to learn more about your project, but also the STELAR project, we will put links in the description of the video. So please visit the websites and follow us on social media for more updates on our work. Thank you very much once again, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Yes, thank you very much also, and nice day to everybody who will watch this. Thank you.